Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Mary if you're new here. I thought it would be fun this weekend to do a challenge that I thought I would never do, but I actually have some extra time this weekend. So I'm going to attempt the 24-hour reading challenge, but forewarning, I am doing the timer version because I don't sacrifice sleep. I value my sleep and my mental health, so I'm going to do the timer version of this where I am basically going to set a 24-hour timer, and anytime I am reading, I will be letting the timer go. Anytime I stop reading to do something like sleep, eat, things like that, I will pause the timer. I thought I would go over a little bit of my TBR that I want to attempt this weekend, and then we can start reading. So my plans for this 24-hour reading challenge is to finish books that I am currently in the middle of. So I have quite the stack here. Over here. So I'll get 2 books out of the way. I have 2 books that I have like a daily reading goal. So we'll be reading these, but we will not be finishing them, but they will count towards the time because both of these are classics and they take me a long time to read versus other books because it's just a lot more to digest and I'm trying to read them slowly and take my time with them. So the first one is Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon. This is for the Hardcore Literature Book Club, and so I have a daily reading goal of around 18-20 pages. I'm 54 pages in, and what a ride it's already been. So we'll be tackling along this book this weekend, probably around 50 to 60 pages. Then I also have a daily reading goal to finish War and Peace, as I talked about in my end of year TBR tag. So I'm on page 268. I have a reading goal of around 30 pages. So again, we'll do 60 pages here. Now these pages take me a long time to read, so this is a good chunk of hours that will be dedicated to these 2 books. Then we can move on to the more fun things. So I'm currently also reading With Love from Cold World by Alicia Thompson. I think this is her second novel. I did not read her first novel, but I'm almost done this one. If you can see here, I am on page 284. Okay, so I have 100 pages left, so that will be easily done. This book is basically about 2 people that work at a theme park in Florida that is centered around Christmas and, snow. They're kind of enemies, but not really. They're workplace enemies, so I don't really count that as enemies to lovers trope because there's just no stakes. I'm not really enjoying this that much. I'm not really enjoying the writing, not enjoying the couple that much, but I am just trying to finish it. It's kind of 3-star category for me right now. Then the next book I have currently on the roster is The Shining by Stephen King. So I also chose books that I'm currently reading that are in different genres to switch it up. But this is a, I guess, horror or thriller. I'm only 100 pages into this book, which is a lot if it was a short book, but it's not. It's a 600-page book. But this is about a family where the husband goes to work as a cleaner, janitor at this hotel, and the child, his son, has, I guess, kind of visions of this man in a specific room, and it looks like it might be a murder. It's a little boring right now, but I think it does pick up. I also have the audiobook for this book, so if I am doing things like picking up around the house, cooking, things like that, going for a walk, I have the audiobook so I could also be listening, and that I will definitely count towards my 24 hours. Then the last book that I'm currently reading is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. So this is the first book in the Shadowhunters series. Now this one I've been reading for a long time now, and I stopped for a couple months. My memory is a little vague, but I'm on page 313, and the main character Clary is quite annoying to me, but it's kind of like a vampire secret society story set in New York City. Basically, there's like vampire hunters, but I think there's also other types of animals or creatures in this book, so it's okay so far. Then the last book I have here, if we have the time, I want to pick up The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. My TBR for the next 2 months is basically me trying to accomplish or get closer to all of my reading goals that I set in the beginning of the year, and one of my book bingo categories is cozy mystery, which I have not read yet, and I think this counts as a cozy mystery. I'm pretty sure. I've heard fantastic things about this. It was on my fall TBR, but I did not get to a lot of books on my fall TBR. So I'm hoping to also get to this because it's different than all the other books I have here, but I think it will be a fun and cozy time. And that's my TBR for today. So I'm going to first pick up a little bit around here, get myself situated so we can just chill and read for how many hours we can today. We've got our timer ready, paused, and we'll start it maybe in about 20 minutes. So we're gonna aim to start at 12:30. That's the plan. So it's 2:18. I was trapped in an editing world sphere and finally finished editing my video. We're gonna get our reading on and read some Gravity's Rainbow. So we'll see how long I read this for. We're on page 54 right now. I'd like to maybe get to page 80. We'll see. We'll see how long it lasts. This does take me a while, but listening to the audiobook while reading it has been helping a lot. And I've also been making lots of different notes. So we're going to start the clock, get to it. I just finished my reading for Gravity's Rainbow. I read from page 54 to 94, so a good 40 pages, and that took me almost 2 hours, which is crazy. We've got on the timer, oh gosh, I do not want to click done, 22 hours, 17 minutes and 31 seconds. That is insane. The past 40 pages, I'm noticing Pynchon's writing is very sporadic, kind of chaotic. He throws you for a loop, tries to confuse you, then kind of brings it back around, and I'm just trying to go along for the ride because I heard through many people that your first read of Gravity's Rainbow is gonna be hard. So to just not try to figure everything out and just have fun, and so that's what I'm trying to do. It's hard, but I'm trying my best. It's now the lighting is getting worse because it's getting late, or I guess getting dark. I'm gonna force myself to go for a walk because I don't want to, but I haven't been outside yet today, so we'll go for a quick stroll, maybe for half an hour, and I think I'm going to switch gears and start listening to the audiobook for the Shadowhunters book. What is it called? City of Bones. Let's get going! Back from my walk. I'm on chapter 18 of City of Bones and back into the story. Now I'm remembering everything that happened. So far, pretty good. I'm going to continue listening to the audiobook as I put together my dinner, then we'll continue reading, and we'll see how far we get. We're now at 21 hours, 39 minutes, and 58 seconds left, so hopefully by the end of the night I can maybe read until like 11, I think. Yeah, I think it will definitely be continuing this onto Monday, but it's kind of fun. It's a challenge for sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm here with Sugar. Sugar. Hey, he's being distracted by all the books. So it's about 9:30. Had a pretty slow morning. Didn't do any reading because my back's hurting this morning. I think we're going to start back up the 24-hour clock at 10 a.m. I'm just going to relax for the next half hour. We got to 17, just a little over 17 hours left last night. I finished the With Love from Cold World. I don't know why that title is so hard for me to say. The ending was, I think, probably one of the better parts of the entire book, but I still don't know how I feel about it. I think it's around 3-star territory as well. So lots of 3 stars, which is not great, but what can we do? That's my update from last night. Now we're drinking some coffee, hanging out with the cats after breakfast. We'll start reading very, very soon. A bit later, but we are beginning. So let's start again. We are at, do you see that? 12 hours left. That means we have hit the halfway point. And I'm currently still reading The Shining. Let me get the book. So we started on chapter 12, and right now we are on chapter 35, The Lobby. This is kind of like a mind F of a book, and I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't really have any guesses. I love Danny though. This kid is like, kids are so innocent, and kid's got a lot going on that he can't understand, and it's so sad. I have been listening to the audiobook and doing things around the house. I made some tahini cookies. I made these chai energy bites, and now I'm making this carrot harissa dip. I am enjoying The Shining. I am liking it more than I did in the beginning. I think there's just more action and more suspense, so I'm excited to see where it goes. But yeah, no guesses really. Don't really know how it's gonna end, but knowing what people say about his writing and his books, probably some messed up stuff is going to happen, so we'll see. That's my update. Oop, someone's beeping. Book is crazy. 100 pages left. I'm convinced one of them is gonna die. Don't know who, but we'll see. It's kind of getting more creepy, but not like super scary, just kind of like creepy, I would say. How much time left? We're almost at 10 hours left. 10 hours and 11 minutes, so We'll see. It's 6 p.m. right now. I'm gonna go for as long as I can, but I really want to finish this tonight. I just want to get it over with. I'm afraid this is probably gonna be a 3 stars, and I'm not happy. If all of these books end up being 3 stars, this is gonna be a very, very sad 24-hour reading challenge. Almost 5 hours left, but it's already past 5 and I don't know if I'm going to finish all 5 hours. We are going to try. This morning and on my lunch I was trying to read as much as I could, so I've read quite a bit of War and Peace. I am not done my sections yet for today, but I am going to probably read, I think, about 10 more pages of War and Peace and then put that down, and I'm just gonna catch up tomorrow. But I really want to finish reading The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I'm only 50 pages in, which means I have around 250 pages left, and with probably 4.5 hours left, I think that'll be enough time to finish the entire book. We're gonna put the timer back on, get back to reading, and hopefully by the end of tonight we will finish the 24-hour challenge. If not, we'll carry it on to tomorrow and finish the last hour or so that we'll have left. But I think we'll be able to do it. Absolutely love the parts of this book where they're like in the peace parts where all the drama happens. The war parts are a little repetitive and a bit boring, and I don't really care about it as much, but when I get to the parts where it's like back at like the homes where the people aren't at war on the front lines, oh my god, they're so much fun and they're hilarious and so much drama and action. I love it. I'm back into that part after chapters and chapters of war, and it was just getting a little bit repetitive for me. And now I'm having a blast. I am only supposed to read like that much more to get to my section for today, but I might continue. I don't know. Should I? I had to pause the timer. If you see, it's at 3 hours and 31 minutes, but I switched back to reading The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and I'm on page 96. This book, I'm really hoping it's going to end up being 5 stars because it's giving me all those 5-star feelings I usually feel with 5 stars. It is so cute. It is so sweet. All the characters are so lovely and they're all so unique, and everyone in this little house where Mika Moon is going to teach these 3 girls how to control their magic. It's just so adorable. I'm having a blast. I am loving it so far, and I'm so excited. The next day, And I don't even know if you guys would believe me if I were to tell you it is a little bit past noon right now because this lighting is atrocious. I had to pull out all the lights. I turn on all the lights in my living room. I have my little light on. I have my lamp on. It's like huge rainstorm outside today, which is kind of not the vibe, but it is what it is. We've got 28 minutes and 43 seconds left, so I thought we would wrap up the time together today. And last night I was able to finish The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and I absolutely adored it. But I will talk about all my ratings once we're done this time. So I thought the last half hour I would just go back and read a little bit more of Gravity's Rainbow. This is not one of the books I will be able to finish today because I'm just doing a daily reading of it, but I wasn't able to do my reading yesterday, so I want to do some reading today, and let's see how much we can get done in 28 minutes and 43 seconds. We can first add up how many pages I was able to read in 24 hours. I started this on the 18th, I believe. So let's add these all together. So I read a total of 1,228 pages, which is crazy. Typically monthly, I read maybe around a little bit over 3,000 pages a month. So in this past 24 hours that I read, which actually took around 4 days, I read like a third of what I typically read in a month. So hopefully that means this month's wrap up will be really good. Let's go over all the books that we did read. So first I'll quickly go over the 2 classics that I just read snippets of because we didn't finish them. So the first one we have is Gravity's Rainbow. I think I was talking about this before and how I was trying to explain what it's about, but it's really hard to explain. I think at the core of the novel, it is a war novel about World War II, but there is still a lot of humor in it. You just have to read between the lines in a lot of it. We read around 70 to 80 pages together, so I'm only 100 pages in. I just hit the 100-page mark. Yeah, I don't have really much to say about it. It's such a long novel. I've already been confused a couple times, but many people just say, like, just go for the ride, don't think about it too much because you're not gonna be able to understand everything that's going on in this book, and that is on purpose. Like, Pynchon's writing is like that. He is very much like a James Joyce with Ulysses, where he writes to confuse you, but a lot of it is also humor. I think I'm enjoying it, but I guess we'll see once I'm done the book. I'll probably finish it next month because I am on a daily reading schedule with the Hardcore Literature Book Club, so I won't be finished by the end of this month. And then next we've got War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, which has been my book this year that I've been tackling on and off. I read about, let's see here, we read together about 60 pages together. I am so happy to say that we are back in the peace parts where we're back, not on the front lines, but back home where all the drama between the family members are happening and where people are trying to wed each other and also stab each other in the back. So we just got back into that part after a long time of in the front lines, which is just feels so repetitive and boring to me. Like there are parts of it that are humorous and that are interesting, but for the most part, I am definitely enjoying the peace parts more. And I've noticed a trend in my reading where once I'm back into the parts of the war, I slow down a lot. And when I'm in the parts of the peace, I'm like flying through the pages. So I am really, really enjoying this and having a blast with it, but there are definitely parts that drag a little. But we're making a dent there. I think we're almost a third of the way through this book, and this is also one I am having a daily reading goal to finish by the end of the year. Okay, moving on to the 4 books we were able to finish in our 24 hours reading challenge, which I am so pumped that I was able to finish 4 books. The first book we finished together was With Love from Cold World by Alicia Thompson. I was sitting with how I thought about these books this morning, and I think I'm going to give this a 2.5 stars. I didn't enjoy it that much. I was so excited about this book primarily because the cover was so intriguing, and the back, it really caught my eye. It felt like it was going to be such a nice Christmassy book, kind of enemies to lovers in a workplace, so it wasn't like nothing serious, and it was just like all fun and games. And then reading it was a lot different. So I think I mentioned before, enemies to lovers in romance, if it's not like fantasy, it doesn't feel like there's very high stakes in it, so I wouldn't really call it enemies to lovers, but it is the trope that is in this book. But honestly, even when they were in the lovers part, it kind of still felt like they were enemies. They said a lot of mean things to each other and did a lot of mean things, and I just wasn't rooting for them for primarily the entire book until the end, where they had like a redeeming scene, and I was like, oh, maybe I do like them as a couple together. But for the most part, I feel like this book dragged on. It was quite boring. I didn't really enjoy the writing that much. And I just think this wasn't the book for me, honestly. And lastly, the pacing of this book was kind of weird. It was very like slow up into the ending. Then a lot of things happened right at once, and like everything was resolved, and all the stuff like that. So it just felt off. Not my favorite. Definitely not. But that's here. The next book we finished was City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, which is the first book in the Shadowhunter series. Now, I mentioned that I never read this series when I was a teenager when this came out, and I was very intrigued into reading it, but I never picked it up. And then as an adult, I was like, let's pick it up, let's read this book. And I don't know if it's like age, because I still like YA, and I do read YA. I definitely like adult books more, but I can appreciate a good YA book. This one just was not it for me. I think I'm going to give this a 2 stars. I think Clary is a very insufferable character, and I don't really like her that much. And the story was kind of like Twilight meets like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it just wasn't as good. This book I started in July, and I now just finished it, and for the most part, I think I was about halfway through. No, I was on here. Yeah, a little bit over halfway when I picked it back up this past weekend. But just that fact alone makes me know that I thought this book was boring, because as soon as any book takes me longer than a couple weeks to read, other than classics, it just usually is like 3 stars or below for me, unless there's a very redeeming factor. Or like if I'm in a book slump, sometimes it's not the book, it's just like my vibe is off. But yeah, I don't think I really like this that much. I didn't really like the writing. Clary was not a great main character. I think the twists in this book were ridiculous, and the big one at the end, I was like, this is so fake. Not my favorite. I don't think I'm going to continue this series, which is like really upsetting, because there's still a part of me that like has that FOMO that I felt as a kid when I never was able to read this book. But I'm not sure. Let me know if the series gets better and if I need to just get past the first book or the first 2 books. For now, 2 star, probably won't continue the series. Then the third book I finished was The Shining by Stephen King, which was a very, very large book, and I was only 100 pages into this book, so we read like 500 pages together. So this sucked up the majority of my time during this 24 hours, and I think I'm giving this 3 stars. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. I think the story dragged on a lot, and the fact that the premise of this like haunted house story really surrounded around a child figuring it out kind of threw me off. And like the whole red rum and the meaning of red rum, like anyone that read this book after hearing red rum like 3 times would know what it means. And it literally dragged on till almost the end of the book. This is my first Stephen King novel, so I did enjoy Stephen King's writing. I think he is an excellent writer, and the descriptions of these things and the people in the story are really well done. You really get to know all of the characters, but for the most part, I honestly just felt really sad for the characters, especially the mother, and I was not really scared. Like, there were some parts that were like a little creepy or a little weird, but not really scary. It wasn't very horror. It was kind of more like, I guess, haunted vibes. It wasn't giving what I expected it to give. And also there was a lot of like racial slurs in this book that I felt was so unnecessary and really threw me off. And I was just kind of taken aback when a lot of these scenes were happening of just like racism. And I was just like, okay, I understand this book was written in like the 70s, but all that to say, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was just a solid 3-star. I probably will read more of Stephen King. I do own more of his books, but I don't think it was a great start, honestly. And now I will definitely watch the movie. So at this point, I've been pretty taken aback because this is like a lot of bad and okay ratings back to back. So I was hoping, praying for something that's more than 3 stars, and thankfully this book came into the picture, which was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I adored this book. I think it was so magical. It was kind of giving like the House in the Cerulean Sea vibes, but with like witches, and I don't know, it was just so similar. I loved it so much. Loved the love interest between the 2 characters. I love the whole like witchy community and like these 3 little girl witches that don't know how to control their powers. It was just, I loved it so much. I think I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. I was thinking 5 stars right when I finished the book, but the more I think about it, the more that there was just some things that, some conversations that threw me off a little, and I have to sit on it a little bit more, but I adored this book. It was giving all the warm, cozy, amazing vibes that I was looking for. And honestly, all the reviews that I have seen about this book were totally right. I don't know why I didn't pick it up sooner, but I'm so happy that I did. And it made this past 24 hours so worth it, because this is one of my new favorites, 100%. And I would recommend it to like anyone that just needs like a comfort, cozy read. And this is like perfect in the fall and winter time, I think. Like, amazing, amazing, amazing. And that is all that we read in the past 24 hours. What an insane 24 hours. That lasted a lot longer than I thought it would, and I didn't expect it to be as challenging as it was. I don't know how people do this like 24 hours straight through. I don't think I would finish as many books if I did it that way, because you have distractions and you have life to live, especially as someone that works like 9 to 5. As soon as like, if it's not done on a weekend, I only have like the morning time before work, my lunch time if I'm not busy doing something, and then after work. So it's not a lot of time to get all this reading done, but it was a fun challenge, and I definitely would want to do it again the timer way, because yeah, not sacrificing sleep. We all know this. I hope you all enjoyed watching this video and this challenge. Let me know your thoughts if you have read any of these books down below. The year end is approaching very fast, so I gotta try and get in all the books that I can this year and prepare for the new year. But thank you guys for spending this time with me. I hope to see you all in my next video. Happy reading! Bye!